everybody, and welcome to the, I guess, second season of Shark Attack Sunday. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I've got my co-host who, I guess, last season, it was just me and Paul doing it on our own because that was at the time that
COVID.
COVID hit. Yep, COVID hit. And we are just trying to bring you guys more content, but we had to do it. We weren't doing Zoom at that particular moment in time, but we are going to be doing Zoom now and or doing it in person as well. So we're bringing this is second season. This is going to be packed with a lot of stuff going on. So
Yeah, it's kind of like a reboot of the show, sort of.
yeah, we're rebooting it. You know, it deserves a reboot. So Shark Attacks Sunday, the reboot
Yes.
begins. But here I have my co-host Paul Presenza. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing Moveless. How's it going out there, everybody? Your old pal, the Moo Cow.
Yeah. All right. And let's here we got our special guest, Maddie Deering. How you doing, Maddie?
Great. How are you
Yay.
guys?
All right.
And Maddie has her own show about shitty shark movies called Shitty Shark.
Shitty Shark Show.
Shitty Shark Show. There
There
you
you
go.
go. That's perfect. It sounds exactly what it is.
And
Exactly.
I saw there was another one too. There was another Shitty Shark Show. Did you ever see that? Like there's somebody else.
Yeah,
that
you
done
know
one
what?
thing.
Our my co-host Jaram Shatzer shared that with us, that already existed, but I guess they hadn't made an episode in a long time, and I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it was like December or something. Is the last time.
Yeah,
I did something.
hopefully
So,
we're the number one Shitty Shark Show, but
There you
hopefully we
go.
don't have to change our name, you know?
you know.
I mean, you can't swing a dead hammerhead without hitting somebody who's interested in this shitty shark show. So why not?
Right.
Exactly.
And we could have called our show something similar to that, but I thought Shark Attack Sunday sounded a little
Shark
classier.
Attack Sunday is a fun name.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Paul got a really good logo for this year, so we're really excited.
And some theme music.
And some theme music. I can't wait for, well, obviously it'll already be over, for that. So if you guys listen to that theme music, hope you guys enjoyed it. So we're gonna be talking about Sharks of the Corn.
Nom nom nom.
It's all for entertainment,
So what in the name of Randy Travis is going on around here? So there's a trust issue.
So, do you happen to believe in Bigfoot too?
Shark scarecrow. Huh.
Yeah. Well, and sharks were never eating corn. That was sad.
I
That would've
think
been-
one of them did. It was very
Did
brief. Yeah. I think that was like one of their in jokes. But yeah, I think at least one did. But, it wasn't like a real shark anyway. I think it was one of the guys in a mask.
Oh.
Well, there were no real sharks in the corn
It's
anyway.
hard to believe.
That would have been fun though, like a real shark in the corn. I mean, I don't know.
And-
no one
and-
survived. What are you trying to do?
And there's a whole part of the discussion about reality in general that I want to get to, but I'm going to let Jonathan run this show and see what he wants
Okay,
to talk
so
about
to
first.
begin with, let's talk about the storyline. Because it's like literally 2 hours and 9 minutes too long.
It just
like,
it just wobbles all over the place.
I know, like it literally is if I had to sum it up, it's basically about this shark cult that is basically trying to resurrect this shark goddess.
As you
And
do.
yeah, right. And in the fields of corn, because why not, right?
We're in
And
one field of corn in
one
Druid
field.
Hills, Kentucky.
Exactly. Is that a real place? I don't
I
know.
doubt it.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that based on the incredibly cheap looking sign that they got at the dollar store and put up there, because if there was a real place, somebody spent more than a couple of nickels and some pocket lint to make that sign.
That sign was tiny. It started making me realize, because we're going to be doing some movies soon. And there was there's this thing that on TV, like a commercial for signs, like road signs and everything. So I started thinking about doing one, and I was like thinking, oh shit, they're going to be like this tiny. Like they're not going to like let us have like a real like road sign unless we make it ourselves, so I don't know.
We
Maybe
could do.
we could
We got
do.
props people.
We got props people, and they should have done that, but they had a little tiny sign, and they zoomed on for like way too long. I think they were very proud of that tiny sign.
Apparently.
Anyway, so yeah, they're this cult, but we don't even find out about that till like halfway through the movie. Like most of the movie is about our friend Rebecca Reinhardt's in it, and we love her, and she did a fantastic job. Like
she's hilarious.
She's hilarious. Her character is so good in that. Her, and I'm friends with Shannon Stockin, who's in this movie too, and I just absolutely adored her, the cop. I thought she was a lot of fun. But was it Rebecca goes in there, and basically she's the nudity. She's as I would describe her, she's the girl from Jaws, in the beginning of the opening scene,
right?
That basically is like, do you want to go swimming? And then the drunk guy can't find, or doesn't end up going in there and doesn't end up getting killed, like she does. And so the rest of the movie is pretty much Jaws, in a way. It's got its own, like, I don't know if it's a parody. I think it's more of a homage to Jaws.
Yeah. And I was surprised because I fully expected there to be a lot more Children of the Corn stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed by that. They could have gone the Children of the Corn route, but they decided to really go.
It would have been a fun mashup.
Right. Like they could have had the sharks, coming out of the cord and, grabbing people or something. I don't know. Like there's a lot of cool things they could have done, but they decided to really go the Jaws route. And I think a lot of it is it's produced by SRS Cinemas, and they've done Ron Bonk, who also did House Shark, which we'll be reviewing. And it's very much like that. It's almost, it's got a very much the same kind of sense of humor and vibe of like House Shark. I think they even mentioned, if they didn't mention House Shark, I'm surprised, because
they did.
They mentioned
they
Shark
mentioned,
Exorcist.
They dropped a few movie names in there.
Right.
They mentioned a shark in a toilet, which was a reference to House Shark.
Oh, okay.
Exorcism too. Shark Exorcism.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shark Exorcism. So okay, so they did. So, and those are all SRS movies, or whatever. Well, no, I don't think Shark Exorcist.
Shark Exorcist was Wild Eye.
Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, but they're all this like friends, and they all work together, work together and stuff. So I love that kind of stuff. Like I love when people get together and make these kind of goofy movies.
Cross-pollinating, as if you will.
Exactly. Tim Ritter is the director of the film, and I thought he did like a lot of the problem with the movie is it's just too long, and I feel like a lot of it seemed improvish. Did you guys get that vibe from it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's the story kind of wobbled all over the place, and I don't know if it's the characters or what, but it just seemed like they were just, I don't know, incompetent. It's like I just didn't believe like these characters were doing the things that they were doing because they were doing them so badly. It's like, yeah, especially the cop stuff. You warned me that all the cop stuff was going to drive me crazy, and it did. It was just ridiculous, but not in a funny way. I mean, that's the thing. I guess I could bring up my little reality bit here. And if you're going to make this kind of a film, you can either do it as sort of like make it like a serious attempt, like say something like Humor in the Deep, which is a classic B movie thing that's not any more likable to happen than a shark and a corn movie either, but it was grounded in enough reality that you bought it and it was cool. Or you go the route of making a live action cartoon, which is what this is, where there's not a shred of reality there at all. I mean, the sharks they're swimming in air. I mean, you can't even do that. None of that stuff can happen. But if you're going to go that route, at least make it fun, make it funny, and you got to have a lot more comedy. It's got to be quick, it's got to be clever, and it just seemed to be lacking in much of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, to go back to your thing about like all the sharks flying and stuff like that. What I really was kind of disappointed by was, and I guess this is probably a lack of budget or whatever reasons, but there was only one shark you saw really, or at least one puppet, of the shark. They probably only had one puppet. It would have been cooler if they had a bunch of sharks attacking at once, kind of feeding frenzy kind of thing or something to kind of change things up. I feel like the movie got a little stale at times, and that became part of the pacing of the film. Maddie, what do you think?
I think that the VHS I watched was like, I think 15, 20 minutes shorter. And Ron said like the DVD is going to be like 90 minutes long. And that's where the movie should be. So like you guys said, the length is a big problem. This was the first time I actually watched the Blu-ray, 2 hours, 9 minutes, which is too long for this type of movie. I think it has a lot of good ideas, but it is kind of a jumbled mess. I mean, I love Tim Ritter. I'm a huge Truth or Dare, Killing Spree fan. It's just not his best work. And I was, super excited when we were doing a shark movie, but there's so many ideas in here. It just didn't kind of feel like they kind of knew which kind of movie they wanted to make. I mean, there's a serial killer, does the thing with the shark teeth. There's sharks in the corn. There's the cult and
Bigfoot,
the cop and
Bigfoot.
The CIA. There's so much going on. It's just kind of too much for this type of movie.
And that drove me crazy too. The Bigfoot stuff, like that just fucking made me go.
I won't lie. I do kind of laugh at the Bigfoot at the end with the big rock who just kind of comes out of nowhere.
That was my favorite
I think
part.
that's kind of a funny
Sharks
joke.
versus Bigfoot. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, that would have been a fun movie, Sharks versus Bigfoot.
Yes.
Like I'd watch that, but then that wouldn't make any. Well, I mean, it makes as much sense as Sharks in the Corn.
Exactly.
But like, what I'm saying is, like, you'd have to have it where it be like the Sharks in the Corn, and him, or it'd be like Sharks in the Woods, fighting Bigfoot. Like it would have to make some kind of. There would have to be a reason why these sharks can actually survive the woods, or whatever, being in the woods.
One of the other things about it that I noticed, not only in House Shark, but in a lot of other independent films too, is that there are these scenes grind on and on and on. They're not short enough. They're not, they're too long, and they just belabor the point. Like the whole thing where the crazy shark killer guy, he just kind of explains stuff ad nauseum, just so much. I mean, I thought he gave a pretty good performance, but it was all the same information or variations of the same information over and over and over. And I was like, dude, we get it. We really do. You don't have to keep explaining.
I mean, he was sort of my favorite character in a way, because his character was a character, Yeah, exactly.
He was the Gary Busey of the film.
He was. And I like, if this were a bigger budgeted film, Gary Busey would have played that part. Like that, and he would have had a blast with it, but the problem was that he was just a little bit too he just explained too much, and it just became too talky.
I think Joel Wynkoop should have played that part though. But
yes. I actually saw Joel Wynkoop in that, like, in my head, because Tim's worked with him so much,
Exactly.
that I was thinking maybe when Tim was working on it, he was thinking of Joel, and then unfortunately it just didn't work out.
That's the way it seems, because this actor seemed like he tried to be like Joel Wynkoop. I don't know.
I know, exactly. I don't know who the actor was. He did it. I mean, I thought he did.
I think he did a good job.
He did a good job.
for what he had.
I don't know what this says about me, but when you guys are seeing Joel Wynkoop, I was seeing Neil Breen.
I mean, once again, Neil Breen, Gary Busey, Joel Wynkoop, they're all.
I would love to see Neil Breen doing this, and then he could Breen and say the same lines, and it would make sense, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe. It would make as much sense as it already did, you know, which wasn't much anyway. Because the whole point. Okay, so to go back
Shark, you're tearing me apart.
Tommy Wiseau, yeah. But what I was thinking is, okay, so to go back to your discussion, Paul, before about the police procedures and stuff, that was like when I was watching it, I was going, there is no way she was gonna have this dude unhandcuffed. He's a serial killer, unhandcuffed, talking to her while like giving an interview. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no backup, nothing. And like, I was just like, this dude would have been like fucking, he would have found anything to fucking kill this chick.
And you noticed that interview room B, quote unquote, was also her office, quote unquote. It was the same thing. It was the same setup, same table, same desk, same everything.
Yeah. So they didn't even change anything to make it look different. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's sloppy or just, I don't know, just kind of like, we just don't care because it's kind of that kind of movie. You know, like we know what we're doing, which, I mean, if you're going to make a movie called Sharks of the Corn, you're going to be expecting that this movie is just going to be silly and, you know, and be movie like. The problem, and this is a lot of SRS stuff. SRS tends to put their stuff out and not a lot of people can see them because they have to buy them from their site. I would love to see what the normal people think if this movie were like on Tubi, you know, or whatever.
I think a lot of SRS stuff goes to Tubi eventually. I mean, House Shark, a lot of their stuff's on there.
Okay.
Usually what they do is, you know, limited Blu-ray release, VHS release, then they'll do a wide release, and then it'll be on streaming. So I'm sure that'll be like the shorter cut from what Ron said. So that's more like a 90-minute. I think even like the Blu-ray, the back of the Blu-ray, doesn't it say like a shorter time? But then when you put it in.
Yes, it does. It said like 90
minutes
or something like that. It was something shorter. I got it right here.
Ground on. I tell you, it took me a long time to get through it. It took several hours because I would just have to stop, get something, or I'd have to take a break. Yeah. It just droned on and on for a while. It picked up towards the end.
I was gonna say, I feel like the last like half hour, maybe even 40 minutes. I like this stuff with the cult. I love movies about cults, and actually like my own, like spoiler alert, Bathtub Shark Attack has a cult in it.
Right.
I'm actually sad I wasn't the first movie to have a shark cult, that this beat me to it, but you know. But I love that stuff at the end. It's just getting there. It takes too fucking long.
Absolutely.
83 minutes is what it says on this. Blu-ray. And look, hey, I appreciate everything. I bought this for what, $30 or whatever it was, you know, and
same here.
And it comes with like, you know, it comes with a poster and, you know, mini poster or whatever, you know, like that's awesome. Like, I appreciate that. So Ron, thank you for putting it out, you know, for making it. I just, unfortunately, the Blu-ray, I wish I had waited for like a DVD release or something, you know, because and you know what, I'll still probably buy the DVD release and I want to see what the difference is. You know, maybe we'll do another video somewhere down the line where we talk about the differences between all the cuts.
You know, a shorter version would definitely be better depending on what they're cutting.
Yeah. And like literally they could have cut a lot, you know.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of fat in this movie that just kind of, it just meanders. And I'm like, the mafia guys, I mean, I think they could cut them all out.
Yeah.
Like they have nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Or the redneck guys. What do you got in the case, boy? What do you got in the case, boy? And it's
exactly. All that
extra victims that you don't really need.
Yep.
They should have had like Mark Polonia cut it. He always makes his movies like a cool like 70, 80 minutes. I mean, he could have like cut everything out and probably done a better job editing.
Yeah, definitely.
You know.
But well, there you go. I mean, and Mark does so. I think we're gonna have a Mark Polonia shark movie on this show at some point.
Naturally.
How could you not? He's got so many.
He's got so many. You just got to pick. But yeah. So thank you guys for checking this out. So I guess what are we gonna do, Paul? Do you want to do ratings or no?
We can. We certainly can. We've got 3 people. We can do scores. We can add it into the rest of the Indie Film Cafe stinkometer and put it on the ladder of stink like everything else.
Or do you want to do it like the 10, 1 through 10, like we do with?
If we want to keep it consistent with all the other movies, or if we want to do something different, it's up to you. Like we've been doing something different over at Sexploitation Sleazecast.
All right, let's do that. So I'll say, let's do it like the normal way. I'll say 7 fins from this, which isn't, I mean, like, look, I'm not going 8 or 9 or 10 because I feel like that would be, used for something a little bit like worse, like even worse than this movie, whatever. And I feel like this movie's, it's just, if the length wasn't too long, I think the movie would have been a lot more fun. If it was more like Children of the Corn, it would have been a lot more fun.
So you're saying that we're going to score this like an Indie Film Cafe, where the higher the number is, the stinkier it is, and the lower the number, the better the film is.
Exactly.
Okay. And you're going with a 7.
I'm going with a 7. What do you say, Paul?
I'm thinking it's stinkier than that. I'm gonna have to give it a 9, just because it took me forever to get through it. Like I said, I'd like to see a tighter version. I'd like to see a shorter version with some of that extra exposition, extra scenes and stuff cut out. It's probably going to be it's definitely going to be a better film. But this just felt, I don't know, it felt more like an endurance test, and it just lacked the spark and fun that, say, a house shark had.
Okay. What about you, Maddie?
I'm just going to go in the middle and say a 5, just because I like a lot of the ideas I had. I really think it picks up towards the end. I don't know.
Okay.
I have fun with it, but I do think it, like you guys obviously said, it's too long, but I think it's decent for what it is, and I've seen much worse.
That's for sure.
Oh, we've probably reviewed much worse, know. So I'm like, I would love to see a Neil Breen version of this or something.
Please, God, please.
It's sequel directed by Neil Breen. I mean, like whatever. But Tim, I feel like Tim did as good of a job as you could on this kind of thing. But I feel like he could have done better.
Yes, I definitely think given Tim Ritter, I was expecting better.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm a huge Tim Ritter fan, and I don't feel that this is his best work. I mean, obviously, so I completely agree with you guys.
Yeah, and even though don't go out and get it, I think you should. Support independent cinema whenever you get a chance, and B, it's a shitty shark film. You're going to have some level of entertainment watching a shitty shark film, especially if it's got cults and Bigfoot and extra weirdness tossed in there too.
Exactly.
Well, thank you guys for checking this out. Join us in 2 weeks for House Shark.
Yeah.
Shark!
I suspect since we yap, we tend to go on longer. So
I was going to say, whenever Jonathan and I do a vidcast, he's like, oh, it'll be like 20 minutes. And then like an hour and a half later, it's like,
we don't want to do that.